Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Arifnofian Rohman, student ID number 2005-2004, Faculty of Sosial Science, Padang State University. Here, I will make a video resume of learning English application for 8 meetings. To fulfill my UTS assignment, write Material 1. The reading demands of college students are wide and diverse. Textbook, literature, supplementary assignments, reference materials, manual, handbook, and study guides. Each of these material is unique and the student purpose for reading it is different. It might be for class lecture, make notes for discussion, review for an exam, or locate information for a paper. On the other hand, most tech reference on unique academic disciplines. It differs in style, content, and conceptual complexity. To handle those diverse reading the situation effectively, a student must develop reading flexibility skill, adjusting strategy and techniques to suit each reading situation. Many students think that the only way to become more efficient is to read faster. They believe that slow reading is poor reading. This is not the case. How you read is more important than how fast you read. If you read a 12-page segment in 1 hour but remember only 60% of what you read, you are not reading efficiently. You can see then that efficient reading involves adequate comprehension and recall within a reasonable time frame. The efficient reading involves adequate comprehension and recall within a reasonable time frame. The first step in determining how to read a given piece of writing is to assess its difficulty. Many features of the reading material itself influence how easily and how quickly you can read it. Here are a few important characteristics to consider. 1. The format, the physical arrangement of a page can influence how easily material can be read. For example, it is often more difficult to read a page that is a solid block of print than it is to read a page on which the ideas are broken up by headings, spacing, and listing. 2. Graphic and visual material. The inclusion of maps, pictures, graphs, and charts also might influence your reading. Graphic elements present detailed information and require close, careful study. 3. Typographical aids. Features of print such as boldface, italics, color type, and headings often make a page easier to read and to understand. Heading usually announce the topic about the discussion and together form an outline of ideas covered in the material. Italic and words in boldface or color type emphasizes certain words and phrases. 4. Language pictures. Factors such as sentence length, paragraph length, and vocabulary level regularly determine how difficult a piece of material is to read. Generally, the longer the sentence and paragraph in a selection, the more difficult they are to read. 5. Subject matter. The type and number of ideas and concepts that an author presents influence difficulty. For instance, a passage that explains a complicated scientific theory or product requires close reading. Whereas material discussing everyday, now sorted topic normally requires less careful attention. Also, a passage that explains one new idea is often easier to read than a passage that present there are of our new separate ideas in the same amount of space. 6. Length. Length capture articles and essays are often more difficult to read than shorter ones. Lengthy material demands sustained concentration and require you to relate large number of ideas and maintain a broader focus and perspective. 7. Organization. Some materials progress in an orderly logical fashion from point to point. Others, however, are more loosely organized, and the wider pattern of thought is thus more difficult to identify. As a general rule, the less clearly organized written material is, the more difficult it is to read.
Yeah.
There is no rule to use in deciding how much to slow down or speed up to compensate for differing degrees of difficulty. Instead, you must ask your judgment and adjust your reading to the condition at hand. For example, you can deliberately slow down if you encounter a passage with long, complicated stems or an article that presents complex ideas or uses technical vocabulary, or you can deliberately enhance your speed of you from a course material the present simple, straightforward ideas and use everyday vocabulary in addition to adjusting your rate. You shall also alter the manner in which you read the material using different techniques to suit different types of material. Material 2. In understanding a paragraph, the first thing you need to know is what the paragraph is about. Then you have to understand its of sentence and what they are saying. Next, you have to see how the sentence relate to one another. Finally, to understand the main point of the paragraph, you have to consider what all the sentence taken together mean. A paragraph can be defined as a group of related ideas. The sentence relate to another in the sense that it's about common person, place, thing, or idea. This common subject or ideas is called the topic. Simply defines the topic is what entire paragraph is about. If you had to choose a title for a paragraph, the one or two words you will choose are the topic. As you read the following paragraph, notice that each sentence discusses more. One of the large components of debt is the mortgage. The debt on real estate. In speaking of the mortgage market, it is important to distinguish between real estate mortgage and mortgage as a type of security for a debt obligation. In one sense of mortgage, a car to secure a car loan anytime, and as a predicate to secure a loan, mortgage is created. Since real estate loans are as typically secured by a pledge of real estate, such lands are themselves called mortgage. Mortgage borrowing accept the combination borrowing of corporations and municipalities by with mortgage. Paragraph main ideas. The paragraph main idea is the point that the whole paragraph makes. To identify topics and main ideas in paragraph, it will help you to understand the difference between general and specific. A general is a broad idea that applies to a large number of specific items. The term cladding is general because it refers to a large collection of specific items. Stock, Swiss, bolus, shirt, scarf, and so on. A specific idea or them is more detailed or particular. It refers to individual item. The word scarf, for example, is a particular term. The past red fly scarf is even more specific. Next, material. Usually, one sentence expresses the main idea. This sentence is called the topic sentence. The topic sentence can be located anywhere in the paragraph. However, there are several positions where it most likely to be found. 1. Topic sentence pairs. Most often the topic sentence is placed first in the paragraph. In this type of paragraph, the author first states his or her main point and explain it. 2. Topic sentence last. The second most likely place for a topic sentence to appear is last in the paragraph. When using this arrangement, a writer lets off the main point and then directly states it at the end. 3. Topic sentence in the middle. If it is placed neither first nor last, then the topic sentence appears somewhere in the middle of the paragraph. In this arrangement, the sentence before the topic sentence lead up to or introduce the main idea. Those that follow the main idea explain or describe it. Topic sentence first and last. Occasionally, the main idea will be stated at the beginning of a paragraph and again at the end. Writers might use this organization to emphasize an important idea or to explain an idea that needs clarification. Next, material. Sentence key ideas. Every sentence expresses at least one key idea or basic message. This key idea is made up of two parts: a simple subject and a simple predicate. The simple subject, usually a noun, identifies the person or object the sentence is about. The main part of the predicate, the simple predicate, is a part which tells what the person or object is doing or has done. Usually, a sentence contains additional information about the subject and or the predicate. To identify the topic of a sentence, ask yourself this question: who or what the paragraph is about. Your answer to this question will be the topic of the paragraph. To read sentence effectively, you can do the instruction. 1. 1. Search for the most important information in the sentence. 2. Think of the certain group of words that are more important than others. 3. Try to see how the parts of the sentence are connected. Example: the effect in the nation's life after. Try to see how the parts of the sentence are connected. Example: the effect in the nation's life up to 65 years. The key idea of this sentence is Indonesian life. It is affected by the simple object and predicate. The simple subject of this sentence is the Indonesian. It tells what the sentence is about. The words the aggregate give more information about the subject Indonesian by telling which one. The main part of the predicate is the verb life. Distill the condition of the effect in the nation. The rest of the sentence gives more information about the predicate by telling how many years life. In many long and complicated sentences, the key idea is not as obvious as in the previous example. To pin the key idea asks 1. How 1. Who or what is the sentence about? 2. What is the happening in the sentence? Here is an example of complicated sentence that might be found in a psychology textbook. Violence is sport both mature and professional level. Has try to see how the parts of the sentence are connected. Example: the average Indonesian life up to 65 years. The key idea of this sentence is Indonesian life. It is expressed by the simple subject and predicate. The simple subject of this sentence is Indonesia. It does what the sentence is about. The word the apparently give more information about the subject Indonesia by telling which one. The main part of the predicate is the verb. Like this spells the condition of the average Indonesia. It tells what the sentence is about. The words and adverbs give more information of the subject Indonesia by telling which one. The main part of the predicate is the verb live. This tells the condition of the average Indonesia. The rest of the sentence give more information about the predicate by telling how many years live. In many long and complicated sentences, the key idea is not as obvious as in the previous example. To pin the key idea, ask 1. Who or what is the sentence about? 2. What is happening in the sentence? Here is an example of a complicated sentence that might be found in a psychology textbook. Violence in sport both an amateur and professional level has increased dramatically over the past 10 years. In this sentence, the answer to the question who or what is the sentence about is violence. The verb has increased and the remainder of the sentence explains the place and level where violence exists and how it is increased in period of time. Sentence details. After you have identified the key idea, the next step in understanding a sentence is to see how the details affect its meaning. Most details either add to or change the meaning of the key idea. Usually, they answer such questions about the subject or predicate as what, where, which, when, how, or why. For example, Sam drove his car to Toronto last week. In the above sentence, Sam drove is the key idea of sentence. Will his car answer what? To Toronto answer where, and last week answer when. As you read the sentence, be sure to notice how the detail change, limit, or add to the meaning of the key idea. Decide for each of the following example how the underlined portion affects the meaning of the key idea. Chemistry is really a language, a way of describing things we see every day. The scientists with the most liberal attitudes are godfather study of cloning. The film about the death of the basketball star was depressing. In the first example, the underlying detail explains in what why chemistry is a language. In the second example, the underlying detail tells which science Only those with the most liberal attitudes are get further study. In the third example, the underlined detail is described with note all film was depressing. Next material, combined sentence and related sentence. 1. Combined sentence. Many sentences express more than one key idea. Often, a writer will combine two or more closely related ideas into one sentence. This is done for one of three reasons. 1. To clarify the ideas. 2. To emphasize their connection. 3. To show what they are of actual importance. For example, some students decided to take the final exam, and others chose to write a term paper. In this sentence, two related ideas are combined. 1. Some students decided to take the final exam. 2. Some students chose to write a term paper. Combined ideas are often spotted by the function in the sentence. Two complete ideas can be combined by a semicolon. Example, some students had met, others enjoyed it. B. A comma followed by a conjunction and, but, or, nor, so, for, yet. Example, data processing is my major, so I have to take several math courses. 2. Related sentence. A writer often expands a sentence by adding a related but less important idea. This related idea is one noun and verb, but it expresses an incomplete truth and cannot stand by itself. For example, the underlined portion of the following sentence is a noun and a verb, but it does not make sense until you read the entire sentence. Here is the example. Text underlined. After we left the party, we stopped for a pizza. In the sentence, the more important is we stopped for a pizza. The first part of the sentence gives a reason to explain the second part. The idea of lesser importance usually performs on or more of the following function: describe, express cause, state purpose of reason, describe a condition or circumstance, and express time relationship. Context clues. Context clues can help you to figure out the meanings of unfamiliar words. While you are uniquely to find missing words on a printed page, you will often find words that you do not know. The words around the familiar words, the sentence context, give you clues to what word will in and make sense. Such clues are called context clues. Example: the couple finally scored a table at the popular crowded restaurant. From the sentence, you can tell that scored means go to ownership of the table. There are four types context clues to look for. 1. Definition. 2. Example. 3. Contrast. And 4. Inference. Definition clues. Many times a writer defines a word directly or indirectly. Immediately following its use, the writer might define a word directly by giving a brief definition or providing a synonym. Such word and phrases as means, refers to, and can be defined as are often used. At other times, a writer might define a word indirectly. Indirect definition usually follow the word and are set up by commands. Verandas or recess desks are example. Introduction Introduction refers to the process of reasoning from the noun to the unknown. Probability the likelihood that an event occurs is important in the field of statistics. Example clause. Writer often include example to help to explain or clarify a word. Suppose you do not know the meaning of the word toxic, and you pin it used in the following sentence. Toxic materials such as arsenic, asbestos, pesticides, and lead can cause bodily damage. This sentence gives four examples of toxic material from the example given, which are all poisonous substance. You can conclude that toxic means poisonous. Contraclus. It is sometimes possible to determine the meaning of an unknown word from a word or phrase in the context that has an opposite meaning. Notice in the following sentence a word opposite in meaning from the boldface word provides a clue to its meaning. 1. Of the dinner guests succumbed to the temptation to have a second place of cake, but the order resisted. Although you might not know the meaning of succumbed, you know that the one goes to succumbed was different from the others who resisted. The word but suggests this since the others resisted a second dessert. You can tell that the one guest gave in and had one. To succumb means the opposite of resist. Inference clause. Many times you can figure out the meaning of an unknown word by using logic and reasoning skill. For instance, look at the following sentence. Bob is quite Purcell is a good student. A top athlete, an excellent car mechanic, and a good man cook. You can see that Bob is successful at the many different types of activity, and you could reason the person means capable of doing many things completely. The limitation of contact clause. There are two limitations to the use of contact clause. First, contact clause seldom lead to a complete definition that the best we can do guessing the meaning. Second, sometimes a sentence does not contain close to a word's meaning. In this case, you will need to draw upon other vocabulary skills such as word structure. Next material. Word structure. Many words in the English language are made up of word parts called prefixes, root, and suffix. These word parts have specific meanings that when added together can help you determine the meaning of the word as a whole. Prefix. Prefix appear at the beginnings of many English words. They alter the meaning of the root to which they are connected. Suitable one for 32 common fixes that are grouped according to meaning. Roots. Roots carry the basic or core meaning of a word. Hundreds of root words are used to build words in the English language. 30 of the most common and most useful are listed in the table too. If you know that the root means tell your side, then we'll have a clue to the meanings of such words and details speak for someone to write down. Dictation, words spoken to be written down, and diction, wording or manner of speaking. Suffixes. Suffixes are word endings that often change the part of speech of word. For example, adding the suffix to cloth produces the adjective cloth, accompanying the change in part of speech meaning. If you know the meaning of the root word and the voice with different suffix, affect the meaning of the root word, you will be able to figure out words, meaning, and suffix against of common suffix and their meaning apparent several three. How to use word parts. When you come you want a word you do not know, keep the pointers in mind. 1. First look for the root. Think of this as looking for a word inside a larger word. Often a letter or two will be missing. Example: an, ether, able post, opera, life, defense, able none, adaptable. 2. If you do not recognize the root, then you will probably not be able to figure out the word. The next step is to check its meaning in a dictionary. 3. If you do not recognize the root, next look for a prefix. If there is one, determine how it changes the meaning of the word. Example: an, a terrible pause, and operative. 4. Locate the suffix, and if there is one, and determine how it further adds to or change the meaning of the root word. Example: another and able post. 5. Next, try out the meaning in the sentence in which the word was used. Substitute your meaning for the word and see whether the sentence makes sense. Example: some of the victim trucks were untraceable at the time of the crime. Untraceable, not able to be spoken. Thank you very much. Apologize for all the mistakes. Hopefully, this video can fulfill the English test assignment. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.